A thunder-like roar turned into a sound wave and spread into the distance. After this roar gradually disappeared, that golden figure in the sky swiftly began to shrink. The figure recovered his original form. His body moved as he turned into a golden light that rushed toward everyone while he laughed. Junior Pavilion Chief, congratulations. Elder Qing Cheng congratulated him with a smile when he saw the laughing Xiaoyan head over. It was a lucky breakthrough. Xiaoyan grinned and replied. He twisted his body. A feeling of being full of strength was emitted. He was much stronger compared to 3 days earlier. The peak of an 8-star Dozun and the 9th star were merely a step away, but there was an enormous difference between them. Based on Xiaoyan's estimation, if he were to completely unleash the King Kong glass body and the clan tattoo strength at the same time, his strength would be comparable to a 4 or 5 change peak Dozun. Moreover, if he were to include the Great Heaven Creation Palm and his other powerful Do skills, he would be able to fight against a 6 change peak Dozun expert. Has anything happened during these few days? Xiaoyan randomly asked. He only smiled after seeing everyone shake their heads. His eyes shifted to the deepest parts of the ancient wasteland region. They were narrowed slightly as he said, "We have delayed another few days. Looks like we must quicken our pace and hurry to the ancient region stage. It would not be good for us to arrive late." Aye. Kailin and the rest nodded. Nearly a dozen groups of people, if not more, passed by this mountain during these 3 days. Based on the direction they were heading, they were clearly charging toward the ancient region stage. It was likely that many experts had already gathered there. Let's go. We should not delay any longer. It is best for us to leave now. Xiaoyan also understood that they were pressed for time. He immediately waved his hand as he gave a command. Should we use this big fellow as a ride and hurry over? The strength of the ancient heaven demon python is considered to be one of the strongest in this ancient wasteland region. We will be able to use its fierceness to charge through if we meet any other ferocious beasts along the way. It will save us some trouble. Qing Lin pointed at the enormous heaven demon python lingering in the air and laughed. Haha, this is naturally the best. Xiaoyan was startled. He immediately smiled and nodded. His body was the first to move as he rushed onto the large body of the heaven demon python. The rushing sound of wind appeared behind him as Kailin, the little fairy doctor, and Yun quickly followed. That incomparably violent heaven demon python had become extremely gentle under Qing Lin's control. It did not resist even a little. When Qing Lin emitted a whistle, a dense black fog was quickly emitted from the heaven demon python's body, after which it formed a black cloud that was driven by the heaven demon python. It moved its body and rushed toward the deepest parts of the ancient wasteland region like a thunderbolt. The mountain where Xiaoyan's group had been was quite far from the ancient region stage. If they were to travel normally, they would require at least 3 days. Fortunately, they had the heaven demon python as their stead this time around. This saved them a lot of trouble. The fierceness of this big fellow was quite infamous in this ancient wasteland region. An ordinary ferocious beast would not dare to appear and stop it after sensing it. Xiaoyan's group was able to take the initiative and detour around those ferocious beasts that were comparable to the heaven demon python in terms of strength. Even if these beasts were able to detect the heaven demon python, they would not purposefully pursue it because of their fear. In this way, Xiaoyan's speed had significantly increased. Xiaoyan also came across some factions along the way, but most of them were factions that Xiaoyan had never met before. They were likely factions that usually kept a low profile. These factions usually did not show themselves, but they did possess a strong foundation. They were like the Cloud Wind sect, which Xiaoyan had never even heard of, much less even seen. However, that faction possessed 3 experts at the peak of the Dozun class. One of them even had half a foot in the Bansheng class. This strength was comparable to the elders or even grand elders in renowned factions like the Profound Sky sect. Although these factions were quite strong, Xiaoyan did not intend to stop and befriend them. Currently, all of them had come with the same aim. Unless they possessed an extremely special relationship, they would ultimately end up fighting each other. That fragile relationship could easily be broken by the temptation of the Bodhisattva ancient tree. Even though there were many factions who wished to step forward and express their goodwill because of the stead that Xiaoyan's group rode, Xiaoyan did not give them the opportunity to do so. He asked Qinglin to increase their speed, causing those fellows to be rebuked. Xiaoyan's group spent 2 days traveling without any obstructions before they gradually approached the area of the ancient region stage. The ancient region stage was rumored to be the site of a battle that happened during ancient times. Many extremely powerful experts had once died during this battle, causing the land to vaguely create a strange pressure. It was this pressure that caused this place to be the only location within the ancient wasteland region where ferocious beasts did not dare to tread. Additionally, this ancient region stage was located at an intersection between the middle and deepest part of the ancient wasteland region. One could enter the deepest part of this ancient region from this stage. Therefore, many factions had chosen to come to this safe resting spot in this ancient wasteland region. The Heaven Demon Python was withdrawn when Xiaoyan's group was around 5 kilometers away from the ancient region stage. The beast was too big and attracted too much attention. It must naturally be stored away in order to avoid some unnecessary trouble. Xiaoyan's group flew for another 10 minutes or so after approaching the ancient region stage. An enormous square suddenly appeared in their line of sight. Xiaoyan's group was stunned when they saw this square appear in the wilderness. Only after seeing the dense crowd of humans standing on the square did their hearts finally came to a sudden understanding. This place was likely the so-called ancient region stage. Everyone, be careful. Xiaoyan sighed in relief after seeing that so many people had gathered together. There were ferocious beasts all over this ancient wasteland region. It was the first time he had seen so many people since entering the wasteland. It caused him to relax a little, but Xiaoyan understood that this feeling could not be relied on. Hence, he softly uttered words of warning. "Aye." Everyone nodded when they heard Xiaoyan's reminder. They had covered the 1,000-plus-meter distance within the blink of an eye. They slowly landed after approaching the enormous square. Their arrival also attracted some eyes, but these eyes quickly shifted away. Some groups and experts hurried to this place during this period of time. It was nothing surprising. The bloody scent on these people is really dense. Xiaoyan's eyes swept over the crowd, which had separated into small circular groups of varying sizes. There was a similar scent radiating from all these people. All of them boasted a bloody scent. This scent was not the blood of humans. Instead, it was that of ferocious beasts. Don't tell me that these fellows have formed groups to hunt those ferocious beasts? Xiaoyan felt some doubt in his heart, but he did not open his mouth to ask. Instead, he slowly led Kailin's group to the square before heading to the middle. Under normal circumstances, the Gu clan would likely not give up such an opportunity. The Bodhisattva heart and Bodhisattva seed possessed a miraculous effect on the younger generations. The people who were at the peak of the Dozun class, some new elite Doshungs, might even appear as a result. Xiaoyan naturally did not wish to search for the Gu clan. The one he wanted to find was Xun'er. With her status in the Gu clan, she would definitely be given the chance to come and attempt to find this Bodhisattva ancient tree. Due to the beautiful Kailin, the pristine Yun Yun, and the gorgeous little fairy doctor, their group attracted a number of unusual gazes when they walked into the square. The group that could reach this place possessed a great strength. Moreover, there were all sorts of people present. If these people still possessed some sense of reasoning, they would not have been able to resist stepping forward to strike up a conversation. Even though this was the case, Some impudent gazes still caused the faces of Kai Lin's group to turn icy cold. Xiaoyan did not meet anyone he was familiar with as he walked, causing him to feel a little surprised. Upon approaching the middle of the square, he began to discover a problem. It seemed that the groups or people that were closer to the middle of the square were stronger. Those at the outer edges were the weakest. He wondered if this kind of positioning occurred naturally or it was the result of someone's actions. Xiaoyan knit his brows. His footsteps did not slow as he gradually arrived at the middle of the square in front of everyone's eyes. Only after arriving at that spot did Xiaoyan discover that there was a 1,000-foot-large, 2-meter-tall stone stage present at the middle. There were some people on the stone stage, but their numbers were a lot less than those below. Nevertheless, the people on the stage all expressed a common trait. Their auras were all extremely powerful. Xiaoyan was startled when he came across the stage. However, he did not give it any additional thought. His eyes swept over the stone stage as a smile immediately surfaced on his face. He finally found some familiar figures, especially when it came to a green-clothed, beautiful lady seated with her eyes shut in the crowd. A gentleness flashed across his eyes. "Let's go and meet some familiar people." Xiaoyan turned his head and informed everyone, after which he stepped onto the stone stage and walked to the Gu clan area. However, the moment Xiaoyan stepped onto the stone stage, he suddenly sensed ice-cold eyes thrown at him. At the same time, a faint, icy-cold voice slowly sounded from the stone stage. "This place is not where you should come. Get lost." Xiaoyan's footsteps paused when he heard this icy-cold voice. He turned his head. As his eyes glanced over, the corner of his mouth was lifted into an arc. Xun'er. The icy-cold voice that suddenly sounded on the stone stage attracted some surprised gazes. The eyes of some people began to gloat when these eyes swept over Xiaoyan and Xun'er. Xiaoyan. The group from the Gu clan sitting in a corner of the stone stage also shifted their eyes over because of Xun'er's voice. That green-clothed young lady, who had been resting with her eyes shut, had opened them at this moment. Her pretty eyes locked onto the skinny young man who had stepped onto the stone stage. She was momentarily startled before some joy began to surge into her eyes. "Ha! It looks like Xiaoyan has met with some trouble. It is unexpected that he has also formed a grudge with the Heaven Demon Phoenix tribe." A silver-robed man by the side smiled as spoke. This person was not unfamiliar. He was one of the 4 great generals of the Gu clan and had entered the Heavenly Tomb to train with Xiaoyan back then, Gu Hua. Xun'er bunched her eyebrows together when she heard his words. Her bright eyes landed on the colorfully clothed woman as she softly said, "This Heaven Demon Phoenix tribe is going overboard. Don't be anxious to intervene. Xiaoyan will be able to resolve it." Gu Qingyang faintly laughed. With his senses, he was naturally able to tell that Xiaoyan had already become a 9-star Dozun. Although Xun'er's aura was a little strange, Xiaoyan was able to defeat Gu Yao, who had reached the peak of an 8-star Dozun when he was a 5-star Dozun. Even less needed to be said now. Xun'er nodded. Her bright eyes suddenly slid to a spot behind Xiaoyan and finally paused on Kai Lin. An unknown fluctuation rose within her eyes. The stone stage, where many discussions had been occurring, became a lot quieter as a result. Numerous eyes gathered on Xiaoyan. A noisy girl, there is no need to bother. However, Xiaoyan merely smiled under the focus of these many pairs of eyes. He did not even turn his head to Xun'er. All he did was turn his head to the group behind him and randomly utter some harsh words, after which he lifted his foot and climbed onto the stone stage. A furious grin surged onto Xun'er's face when she heard Xiaoyan's words. Both of her eyes became unusually cold. She waved her hand, and a colorful pillar tore through space like lightning. It ruthlessly shot toward Xiaoyan's head. Bang! Xiao Yan's feet paused when he sensed Xun'er's sudden attack. His left hand was extended and grabbed that colorful pillar. At the same time, a frightening flame quickly appeared. It transformed into a ferocious string of flames that rushed toward Xun'er through the pillar. Humph! Xun'er's eyes turned cold upon seeing this flame. She was aware of the great strength of Xiao Yan's heavenly flame. She pulled her finger across the line, and the pillar was cut apart. At the same time, a vast and mighty aura that was ancient and experienced suddenly surged out of her body in all directions. An earth-shaking phoenix cry vaguely appeared. This feeling, it is indeed that of an ancient heaven phoenix. Xiao Yan's heart shook when he sensed Xun'er's aura. This aura and feeling was somewhat similar to the ancient heaven phoenix avatar that had died a countless number of years ago back in the ancient forest of the Doshang remains. Although Xiao Yan was not certain why this aura had appeared, he was certain that the reason Xun'er's strength had soared was definitely related to that dead heaven demon phoenix. Xiao Yan, today, you will use your life to compensate me for the pain that I have received. Xun'er's face was icy cold as she glared at Xiao Yan with a great hatred. If Xiao Yan's group had not snatched the Dragon Phoenix origin fruit, they would not have suffered punishment after returning. Fortunately, they were able to find a trace of Heaven Phoenix essence blood from within the Heaven Phoenix corpse that they had brought back from the ancient forest, but that essence blood was quite weak. Hence, the Heaven Demon Phoenix tribe experts decided to forcefully transplant the bones in order to obtain the pure Heaven Phoenix essence blood. They placed the bones with hidden Heaven Phoenix essence blood into the body of a clan member. However, this transplant would undoubtedly result in one enduring an endless amount of pain. There were a total of 10 young clan members who had undergone the bone transplantation in the Heaven Demon Phoenix tribe, but it only succeeded for 2 people. One of them was Xun'er. Those 8 others, who had failed, all died. Humph! The eyes of Kai Lin and the others behind Xiao Yan turned cold when they saw Xun'er attacking as she pleased. Do Qi surged out of their bodies, after which many pairs of eyes coldly looked at Xun'er as Do Qi gathered in their palms. You are Xiao Yan? Since Xun'er wishes to spar with you, you should fight with her alone. The others need not intervene, otherwise you will end up suffering a loss. A faint voice was suddenly transmitted from behind Xun'er when Do Qi surged from Kai Lin's group. Everyone looked over, only to find a white-robed man. Surprisingly, this man had rare-colored pupils, appearing extremely strange. Over a dozen experts from the Heaven Demon Phoenix tribe were staring at Xiao Yan's group in an unfriendly manner when man with colored pupils spoke. Clearly, they would all attack at the first disagreement. The ones who will suffer a loss will perhaps be your group, right? A similarly calm voice was suddenly transmitted from another direction after man with the colored eyes spoke, causing the man to be startled. His eyes glanced toward the source of the voice before frowning and demanding, Gu Qingyang, is your group also planning to interfere? Haha, if it is a one-on-one fight, we naturally not need to intervene. However, I cannot really endure watching people bully others with numbers. Gu Qingyang faintly laughed, after which his eyes slid to Xiao Yan as he nodded. Xiao Yan returned a smile when he saw Gu Qingyang nod, but his eyes remained on the green-clothed girl from the Gu clan. The Heaven Demon Phoenix tribe was not an ordinary faction. Even a faction like the Gu clan would not easily clash with them. The reason that they were willing to intervene was likely because of Xun'er. That green-clothed lady in the crowd sweetly smiled at Xiao Yan when she felt his gaze. That short-lived flower-like smile caused many experts to give her a sideward glance. Haha, all right. Since this is the case, we'll let you give it a try. The colorful-eyed man stared at Gu Qingyang for a moment. He did not expect Xiao Yan to possess such a relationship with the Gu clan, but he was extremely cunning. He smiled as he turned his head to speak to Xun'er. Xun'er nodded after hearing the words of the man with colorful pupils. Her eyes coldly looked at Xiaoyin as she cried out, "Xiaoyin, do you dare to step forward and accept this challenge?" Xiaoyin smiled. He extended his hand and stopped the group behind him. Most of the people here were unfamiliar, so Xiaoyin saw a gloating expression in their eyes. He had come to this place for the Bodhisattva ancient tree, but this place was chaotic with all sorts of people. Many experts were also present. One needed to deter others if one wished to survive in this wasteland. Naturally, he could not step back now. "As you wish." Xiaoyin slowly stepped forward. His face still contained a smile, but both of his eyes flickered with a dangerous chill. Although he was uncertain why Xun'er's strength had soared, she still lagged far behind him. Even though her strength had soared, she was only a 3-change peak Dozun. Other 9-star Dozuns might not be able to defeat such an expert, but this strength was nothing to Xiaoyin. Humph! A cold smile surfaced on Xun'er's face when she saw Xiaoyin step forward. Her foot stomped on the ground as colorful silk shot out in all directions. The silk appeared like incomparably sharp blades since they were accompanied by an extremely sharp wind that covered the area within 100 feet around Xiaoyin. He had nowhere to retreat. It is still the same old tricks. Your strength has soared, but you are unable to control it. You are just like a beggar who has picked up a treasure. Xiaoyin slowly shook his head when he saw the colorful silks cover his sight. He took one step after another forward. A dense flame suddenly surged out of his body and wrapped around him. Any silk that charged into the flame would only be able to charge 5 feet forward before they were turned into ashes that scattered. Xiaoyin took one step after another toward Xun'er as many people watched. His strolling steps appeared quite relaxed. Compared to Xiaoyin's comfortable manner, Xun'er's face was a furious green. She had not expected that she would not be able to pose a threat to Xiaoyin after her strength had soared. How could her prideful self endure this? Heaven Phoenix Shadow. A furious cry was emitted from Xun'er's mouth. Doqi quickly surged out of her body and formed a 1,000-foot-large Heaven Phoenix illusory figure in the sky. Wave after wave of an ancient pressure spread. Ao! The enormous Heaven Phoenix illusory figure let out a clear cry as both of its wings were flapped. It carried a frightening might that ruthlessly shot toward Xiaoyin below. That momentum caused the expressions of many experts to change. Xiaoyin finally halted because of the enormous Heaven Phoenix illusory figure. He lifted his head and looked at the Heaven Phoenix that was swiftly being magnified. He was certain in his heart that the great increase in Xun'er's strength was definitely related to that Heaven Phoenix skeleton in the ancient forest. Xiaoyin, die. The hatred on Xun'er's face became even denser as she stared at the Heaven Phoenix illusory figure, which was less than 1,000 feet from Xiaoyin. An icy cold cry echoed across the square. At this moment, Xiaoyin was unable to dodge even if he wished. It is still the same little tricks. However, Xiaoyin merely grinned when he heard Xun'er's cold cry. He did not show any sign of dodging. All he did was slowly shake his head. At the same time, a golden light surged from his dark black eyes. After Xiaoyin's soft laughter rang out, a bright golden light suddenly erupted over the square like a golden sun. Most people hurriedly narrowed their eyes because of this glaring golden light. They were unable to see a human figure where the golden light had appeared. The golden light had already filled one's eyes. Although they were unable to see anything, those people present on the square were not ordinary people. They were still able to sense the enormous Heaven Phoenix illusory figure in the sky with its extremely majestic energy. They then sensed it ruthlessly collide with the spot where Xiaoyin stood. Bang! The entire square violently shook the moment the collision occurred. A powerful energy rippled along the ground and formed a circular shape, which suddenly spread apart. Some of the experts who were closer were forced to take a couple of steps back. The wild and violent energy spread apart as everyone forcefully opened their eyes. Dust filled their sight, and they were unable to see the exact situation. Arrogant brat! Some of the experts shook their heads when they saw this dust. This person dared to act arrogantly in the face of a full-force attack by a peak Xun'er. He was really seeking death. Humph! Xun'er looked at the spot where dust filled the air. Her tensed body relaxed slightly as a snort was emitted from her nostrils. Ever since she had met Xiaoyan, it was the first time that she had gotten him to taste such a feeling. Bang! However, Xun'er's snort had just sounded when the ground where the dust remained suddenly trembled. A golden light suddenly rushed out at an extremely frightening speed. This golden light was extremely huge, but an instant later, it turned into a skinny figure. Finally, this figure appeared in front of Xun'er in a ghost-like fashion in front of many stunned eyes. How is this possible? Shock surged across Xun'er's face when she saw Xiaoyan appear in front of her with his clothes completely intact. Before she could launch another attack, a palm was rapidly magnified in her eyes. Bam! The clear sound of a slap suddenly echoed over the stone stage. Everyone saw Xun'er's body fly back and rub against the ground. It only came to a slow stop about 100 meters away. Her thin and frail yet pretty face was left with a blood-red handprint. Traces of blood hung on the corner of her mouth as some disbelief remained visible on her face. She had been slapped so hard by Xiaoyan that she had fainted. Regardless of where your strength has come from, it ultimately does not belong to you. You use some unorthodox means. Xiaoyan looked at the figure in the distance with cold eyes. His voice was calm and rippleless. Strength could only be relied upon if one obtained it from training. When Xiaoyan had obtained Xiaoxin's inheritance back then, he had not crazily increased his own strength. Instead, he had done his best to suppress it. On the other hand, Xun'er had gone all out to try and raise her strength, but this was an unorthodox method. She would never truly reach the peak. Hiss! The surrounding observers inhaled a breath of cool air when they saw Xiaoyan send Xun'er flying with a palm strike. This fellow really did not know how to show mercy to a beautiful girl. How violent! If I was in his place, I would not be able to strike such a beauty. TSK, I would prefer to secretly beat her when there are only the two of us. Xiaoyan randomly swung his hand as he heard these strange laughs. His face was without expression. Xun'er's earlier attack intended on taking his life. Xiaoyan would not treat such a person as a woman any longer. Instead, she was an enemy. Xiaoyan had never shown mercy when facing an enemy, regardless of how beautiful she was. Bastard! The group from the Heaven Demon Phoenix tribe, along with the man with colored pupils, were stunned when they saw what happened. The members of the tribe immediately became furious when they recovered. They stood up and prepared to attack. Stop! Xun'er is weaker than him. Carry her back. The man with colored pupils suddenly opened his mouth when these people were about to attack. His colored pupils looked at Xiaoyan as he softly said, "You are quite strong. If you wish to probe someone else's strength in the future, you should do it yourself. You are really nothing to ask a woman to do it." Xiaoyan glanced at this man with colored pupils as he reprimanded him. "Ha ha, I have learned my lesson. I will act personally the next time around." That man with colored pupils seemed to smile in an unconcerned manner, but his colorful eyes flickered with a dangerous glint. "I will await you any time." A grin had also surfaced on Xiaoyan's face, after which he ignored that person and turned around. He led Kailin's group to where the Gu clan was located. The smile on the face of the man with colored pupils slowly disappeared when Xiaoyan turned around. A jade pendant in his hand was quietly turned into dust before scattering from his palm. Hee, you are really ruthless. This is the first time I have seen you beat a woman. The silver-robed Gu Hua gave Xiaoyan a thumb-ups and laughed when he saw him leading a group over. Xiaoyan was helpless when he heard Gu Hua's words. He cupped his hands to Gu Qingyang and the rest, after which his eyes looked at Xun'er in the middle. Xiaoyan Ji, you are very late this time around, Xun'er softly laughed after seeing Xiaoyan look over. Her pretty eyes suddenly swept behind Xiaoyan as she spoke. This must be older sister Kailin, right? I have frequently heard Xiaoyan Ji mention you. Kailin was slightly startled when she heard Xun'er's words. She had heard Xiao Ding mention Xun'er back in the Jiama Empire. This person was Xiaoyan's childhood sweetheart. If that incident hadn't happened, the one who would have become Xiaoyan's wife would most definitely have been her. Moreover, Kailin also understood that Xun'er occupied a great part of Xiaoyan's heart. From a certain point of view, Kailin was a little like the third party in this relationship. This kind of embarrassing position caused Kailin to feel a little uneasy, but she still nodded gently as a form of politeness. Xiaoyan felt a little embarrassed in his heart when he heard the two women speak, but he was unable to say anything. He led his group over and sat down. The group that followed behind Xiaoyan was mostly women. Other than a couple of elders from the flower sect, all of them possessed a lovely appearance. Hence, only at this moment did Gu Qingyang and the rest discover that the atmosphere had become a little strange. After hearing Xun'er's earlier words, many eyes landed on Kailin. They were aware of plenty of information related to Xiaoyan. Therefore, they understood who Kailin was after some thoughts. Their expressions quickly became a little strange. This Xiaoyan, was he really planning on enjoying both women? In spite of their relationship with Xiaoyan, they involuntarily felt a blotch in their hearts when they thought of this. Just what position did Xun'er possess in the Gu clan? She was the goddess in the hearts of countless clan members. Forget about Xiaoyan having successfully obtained Xun'er's heart. The fact that he was planning on enjoying two beauties was a little too good, right? Although these thoughts whirled around their hearts, none of them were foolish enough to give voice to these thoughts. Since Xun'er had not created a disturbance, they were unable to say much despite feeling a knot in their hearts. Xun'er appeared quite calm while everyone was feeling embarrassed. She was gentle and polite as she greeted everyone behind Xiaoyan. However, she paused slightly when her eyes met Nalin Yanran's eyes. The last time that the two of them had met was when Nalin Yanran had come to the Xiao clan to end the engagement. At that time, Nalin Yanran was haughty and arrogant. After these years of polishment, she was no longer the same arrogant and overbearing person from back then. Nalin Yanran's face did not reveal anything in front of Xun'er's scanning eyes. However, her heart was complicated as she recalled something. When she was about to leave after having successfully resolved the issue of ending the engagement, Xun'er, who was seated beside the window, had uttered some words to her. Lady Nalin, hopefully you won't regret what you have done today. These words, which contained some cold indifference, were spoken in a somewhat soft and ethereal voice over a decade ago, yet Nalin Yanran clearly remembered them. Moreover, the thing that caused her to feel a little downcast was that these words had come true 10 years ago. She had indeed regretted her actions, but this regret was useless. Xiaoyan, you have come to the ancient wasteland region because of the Bodhisattva ancient tree, right? Xun'er's bright eyes shifted to Xiaoyan after having greeted everyone. She asked him a question. Xiaoyan hurriedly nodded when he saw that Xun'er did not do anything. He felt an apology take shape in his heart. The guilt in his heart had become even denser the more Xun'er acted as though she was unconcerned. He understood that Xun'er was unwilling to let this matter cause a din and give him a headache. We will be able to enter the deepest part of the ancient wasteland region if we walk further north. The Bodhisattva ancient tree is in that direction. Xun'er's delicate finger pointed to the north of the ancient region stage as she softly said. However, it is very difficult to reach the Bodhisattva ancient tree because there is a ferocious beast army guarding it 50 kilometers from here. They have surrounded the deep region. We must charge through the sea of ferocious beasts in order to enter. Everyone here has given it a try during these past few days. However, everyone was blocked and forced to withdraw. The ferocious beast army is not only full of a frightening number, there are also some powerful ones among them that are very difficult to deal with. Xun'er lifted her face. Sunlight scattered down from the sky. Her upturned nose caused her face to reveal an extremely beautiful outline. A gentle jade-like luster seeped out of her skin, appearing like a pure lotus. Such beauty was completely different than Kailin's bewitching beauty. No wonder there is such a rich bloody scent on everyone's bodies. They actually charged into the ferocious beast army. Xiaoyan muttered with a sudden understanding. Currently everyone here needs to join hands. Otherwise, none of us will be able to enter. Xun'er parted the black hair on her forehead. Her face turned to a spot that was a short distance away. There was an additional trace of solemnness in her pretty eyes as she said, "The temporarily alliance was suggested by that person. Xiaoyan, you should be careful of him because he is from the Hall of Souls. Moreover, he is 1-2 people from the current Hun clan's younger generation who will likely be the next Hun clan chief." Xiaoyan's heart shook when he heard these words. His eyes followed Xun'er's gaze as he looked over.